The call came at 3 a.m., jolting me from a fitful sleep. My sister's sobs crackled through the speaker, nearly unintelligible. Ren, everything's falling apart. The wedding. I need you. I'm Ren, and the last time I heard my sister Kylie cry like this was 3 years ago, the night I walked away from our family, the night I refused to help our mother destroy another wedding. Slow down, Kai. What happened? I pressed my phone closer to my ear, already knowing I'd regret asking. The venue double-booked, the florist quit, and half the guests are arriving a week early because someone sent out the wrong date. Her voice cracked. Mum's having a meltdown, and Sawyer's family is threatening to call it off. Of course Mother was having a meltdown. Perfection was her brand, and this wedding was supposed to be her crowning achievement. The irony wasn't lost on me. She'd tried to sabotage our cousin Jasmine's wedding through me, and now Karma was serving up her own daughter's special day on a platter of chaos. Please, Kylie whispered. I know we haven't talked, but you're the only one who can fix this. You're the best wedding planner in the city. I sat up, switching on my bedside lamp. The framed photo of Jasmine's wedding caught my eye, the one wedding Mother couldn't ruin thanks to my refusal to play along. It had cost me everything, my family, my inheritance, my home. But it had given me something better, my integrity and eventually my success. Kylie, does Mother know you're calling me? A pause. She's the one who suggested it. I laughed, the sound harsh in the quiet room. Wow, she must be desperate. We all are. Please, Ren. I'm getting married in 10 days. I closed my eyes, remembering the day Mother had called me into her study. The heavy oak desk, the family photos arranged just so, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the polished wood as she outlined her plan to ruin Jasmine's wedding. She's marrying beneath us, Mother had said. It's your duty to help me stop this embarrassment. I'd walked out that night with nothing but my car keys and the clothes on my back. Lily, my best friend, had taken me in, helped me build my wedding planning business from scratch. Now, 3 years later, I had a waiting list 6 months long and a reputation for turning disaster into perfection. Ren? Kylie's voice pulled me back. Are you still there? I reached for my laptop. Text me the details. All of them. I'll be there tomorrow morning. Really? The hope in her voice made my chest ache. But what about, I'm not doing this for Mother, I cut in. I'm doing it for you. And Kylie, tell her to stay out of my way. After hanging up, I called Lily. She answered on the first ring because that's who she is, my rock, my voice of reason, my partner in creating perfect weddings. You're not going to believe this, I started. Try me. I could hear her shuffling papers, probably already at the office despite the ungodly hour. As I explained the situation, Lily's silence grew heavier. You know this is a trap, right? She finally said. Your mother doesn't just suddenly forgive and forget. Oh, I know. I pulled up my calendar already, rearranging appointments. But this time, I'm not the desperate 25-year-old she can manipulate. This time, I'm the professional she needs. And you're not planning any payback? I thought about Mother's face when she told me I was dead to her. About the Christmas cards returned unopened, the blocked phone numbers, the carefully crafted rumors about my unstable behavior that had nearly tanked my business before it started. Revenge isn't my style, I said, but we both heard the smile in my voice. I'm just going to do what I do best, create the perfect wedding. And if Mother happens to learn some lessons about karma along the way, well, that's just an unfortunate coincidence. Lily laughed. Want me to clear my schedule too? Please. Something tells me we're going to need all hands on deck for this one. I glanced at the clock. 3:47 a.m. In a few hours, I'd be walking back into my childhood home, facing the woman who'd tried to destroy me, all while planning my baby sister's wedding. Send me the address, Lily said. I'll bring coffee. As I hung up, my phone buzzed with Kylie's text, a novel of wedding details, each one worse than the last. I started making lists, my mind already solving problems, creating contingencies. Mother wanted my help? Fine. She was about to learn exactly what I was capable of. And this time, I'd be playing by my own rules. The familiar iron gates of my childhood home loomed before me, just as imposing as I remembered. Lily pulled up behind my car, 2 coffee cups balanced precariously in her hands as she approached. "Ready for this?" she asked, handing me one. Before I could answer, the front door burst open. Kylie flew down the steps, her designer pajamas wrinkled, her eyes red from crying. She stopped short of hugging me, uncertainty written across her face. "You came," she whispered. "I said I would." I gestured to Lily. "This is my assistant and best friend. She's the real miracle worker." The moment shattered as Mother's voice cut through the morning air. "Well, if it isn't the prodigal daughter." She stood in the doorway, perfectly coiffed despite the early hour. "I trust you've brought some solutions rather than more problems." "Nice to see you too, Mother." I strode past her into the house, Lily close behind. "Where's your office? We need to assess the damage." The house hadn't changed, still a museum of carefully curated family photos, though I noticed mine had all disappeared. Mother led us to her study, where papers covered her usually pristine desk. "The venue called last night," she said, her voice clipped. "They're claiming we confirmed for the 17th, not the 24th. I picked up the contract, scanning quickly. "Because you did. Look at the signature date." "Impossible. I would never—" "You signed this on March 3rd, the day of your charity luncheon." I pulled out my phone, showing her the social media post. "You were distracted, happens to the best of us." Mother's face tightened. "Fix it." "I already have." I pulled up my emails. "I called in a favour. The Rosewood Gardens had a cancellation. It's actually an upgrade. Better views, better layout, and they can accommodate us next weekend." "The Rosewood?" Kylie gasped. "But that's impossible to book. The owner's daughter was my first client." I didn't mention that I'd gotten that client specifically because Mother had blacklisted me from all the usual venues. "Now, about the florist?" "She's being completely unreasonable," Mother huffed, "demanding full payment up front. Because you threatened to sue her over the colour of the peonies being slightly off," Lily cut in, reading from her tablet. "I have the email chain." I rubbed my temples. "Right. Lily, call Sophia at Bloom & Wild. Tell her we need the full package and I'll owe her one." "Already texted her. She's in." "The guests?" Kylie asked timidly. "I've booked blocks at 3 hotels," I said. "We'll need to arrange some activities for the early arrivals. Lily, can you—" "Already on it. Wine tour on Tuesday. Spa day Wednesday. Cooking class Thursday." Mother's lips pressed into a thin line. "You seem to have everything under control. I suppose I should be grateful." "No need for gratitude. I'm not doing this for you." I turned to Kylie. "Where's Sawyer? We need to go over the new timeline with both of you." "He's avoiding Mom," Kylie admitted. "After the florist incident, his parents suggested postponing." "No one is postponing anything," Mother snapped. "The grants may be new money, but they can't—" "Mother," I cut in sharply, "maybe take a break. Lily and I need to work." To my surprise, she left, though not without a pointed glare. As soon as the door closed, Kylie collapsed into a chair. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Everything was fine until last week, then it all just exploded." Something in her tone made me look up. "What do you mean, until last week?" "Well—" Kylie glanced at the door. "Mom got this weird call. I only heard part of it, but she was really upset. The next day, everything started going wrong." I shared a look with Lily. Interesting timing. "There's something else," Kylie said, leaning forward. "I found this in Mom's trash." She pulled out a crumpled note. The handwriting was familiar. Too familiar. "Is that Ruby's handwriting?" I asked, remembering Mother's old friend who'd helped scheme against Jasmine's wedding. Kylie nodded. "It just says payment due and today's date." I pocketed the note, mind racing. "Kylie, I need you to tell me everything that happened after that phone call. Every detail." As she talked, pieces started falling into place. Mother's sudden desperation to hire me, the suspicious timing of the disasters. Ruby's note. "Lily," I said quietly, "add Ruby to your research list." "Already on it, boss." I turned back to Kylie, who was watching me with worried eyes. Don't worry, your wedding will be perfect. How can you be so sure? I smiled, thinking of the note in my pocket. Because this time, I know exactly what game Mother's playing. And she's not the only one who knows how to play it. From somewhere in the house, I heard Mother's voice rising in another phone call. Whatever she was planning, whatever game she was playing, she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd invited me back into the house. Your mother hasn't changed a bit, Peter said, sliding a coffee across the cafe table to me. My cousin Jasmine's husband had agreed to meet me during his lunch break, and his insider perspective was exactly what I needed. Still the same dragon lady, I agreed. But something's different this time. She's scared. Peter leaned forward, lowering his voice. Ruby's been asking about you, you know. Coming around to family events, dropping your name into conversations. Ruby, I set my coffee down. The same Ruby who helped Mother try to ruin your wedding. The very same. He pulled out his phone, showing me a series of texts. She wanted to know if Jasmine and I were attending Kylie's wedding. Got really pushy about it. I scrolled through the messages, noting the desperate tone. When did these start? Last week. Right before everything went sideways with the wedding plans. Peter took his phone back. Jasmine thinks Ruby's in trouble. Financial trouble. My phone buzzed. Lily sending updates. The new venue contract was signed, the florist was on board, and the guest accommodation crisis was under control. But there was something else. A series of blocked calls to our office, all from the same number. Peter, what exactly did Mother promise Ruby 3 years ago? For helping with your wedding? He grimaced. Money, I think. A lot of it. Ruby's husband had just lost their savings in a bad investment. The pieces were clicking together. I pulled out Ruby's crumpled note from my pocket, comparing it to the texts on my phone. She's calling our office multiple times a day. Be careful, Ren. Peter's expression was serious. Ruby's desperate and your mother's cornered. That's a dangerous combination. My phone rang. Kylie's number. Hey, what's up? Can you come home? Now? Her voice was shaking. Mum's fighting with Sawyer's parents and I don't know what to do. I was already grabbing my coat. On my way? Don't let anyone leave. Peter stood too. Need backup? Always. Call Jasmine. Tell her to check Ruby's social media. Anything about money problems or sudden lifestyle changes in the past 3 years. The drive back was tense. Peter filled me in on family gossip, the whispered conversations, the suspicious timing of Mother's sudden social withdrawal last month. The way she'd been selling off her precious antiques quietly. We walked into chaos, voices echoed from the living room, Mother's sharp tones cutting through Sawyer's father's deeper rumble. Your son is making a mistake, Mother was saying as we entered. Kylie deserves... A drama-free wedding, I interrupted, which is exactly what she's going to get. Mr. and Mrs. Grant, I apologize for the confusion. I've arranged for you to stay at the Four Seasons until the wedding. My treat. Mother's eyes flashed. Ren, you have no authority to... Actually, I do. I pulled out my tablet. Kylie hired me officially this morning. I have the signed contract right here. And as her wedding planner, I'm implementing a new policy. No family drama within 50 feet of the bride. Sawyer, who'd been silent in the corner, suddenly laughed. I like her, he told Kylie. Why didn't you tell me your sister was so badass? Because Mother told everyone I was unstable and unreliable, I said pleasantly. Now, shall we discuss the new venue? It's much more suitable for a Grant Dawson wedding. The meeting went smoothly after that. I walked the Grants through the changes, showed them photos of the Rosewood Gardens, and assured them their son's wedding would be the event of the season. By the time they left, even Mother had to admit things were under control. But as I packed up my tablet, I noticed her hands shaking slightly as she checked her phone. A text notification popped up, Ruby's name clearly visible. Everything okay, Mother? I asked innocently. You seem stressed. Mind your own business, she snapped, but there was fear behind the anger. My phone buzzed with a text from Lily. Ruby's house is in foreclosure. Notice posted last week. Another piece of the puzzle. I looked at Mother, remembering how she'd always said revenge was a dish best served cold. Well, I'd had 3 years to chill. You know, I said casually, I'm having dinner with Jasmine and Peter tonight. Ruby's name came up earlier. Interesting coincidence, don't you think? Mother's phone clattered to the floor. As she bent to retrieve it, I saw what I needed to see. Panic. Ren, Kylie called from the doorway, the cake designer's here for the tasting. Coming. I smiled at Mother. Don't worry. Everything's going exactly according to plan. I left her there staring at her phone and wondered how long it would take her to realize that this time it wasn't her plan that was unfolding. It was mine. The cake tasting was interrupted by my father's unexpected arrival. He stood in the doorway of the kitchen looking older than I remembered, his tie loose around his neck. Ren, he said softly. You look well. Before I could respond, Lily burst in. We have a situation. Sawyer's missing. What? Kylie dropped her fork, splattering raspberry filling across the counter. His parents can't reach him, and he's not answering his phone. Lily held up her tablet, but I tracked his last credit card purchase 20 minutes ago at Ruby's cafe. My father's head snapped up. Ruby, what does she have to do with this? Interesting that you ask, I said, studying his reaction. When did you last see Ruby, Dad? He tugged at his collar. I should find your mother. She's already looking for Sawyer, Lily cut in. Left 10 minutes ago. Seemed to know exactly where to go. I grabbed my car keys. Kylie, stay here with Dad. Lily, you're with me. The drive to Ruby's cafe was tense. Lily pulled up more information on her tablet. Ruby's house goes to auction next week. And get this, there's a series of transfers from your mother's account to Ruby's starting 3 years ago. Monthly payments that stopped last month. Blackmail, I muttered, pulling into the cafe parking lot. Ruby helped Mother try to ruin Jasmine's wedding, expecting a big payoff. When that failed, your mother had to keep paying to keep her quiet, Lily finished, until she couldn't anymore. We spotted Mother's car parked around back. Through the cafe window, I could see Sawyer sitting with Ruby, both looking intense. Mother stood nearby, her face pale. Call Peter, I told Lily. Tell him to bring those texts from Ruby, then start recording. The bell chimed as I entered. Ruby looked up, her composed expression slipping for just a second. Well, she said, the prodigal daughter arrives. We were just discussing family history. Were you telling Sawyer about how you and Mother tried to sabotage Jasmine's wedding? I pulled up a chair. Or about the blackmail payments that just stopped? Mother stepped forward. Ren, you don't understand. Actually, I do. I turned to Sawyer. They're trying to stop your wedding the same way they tried to stop Jasmine's. By digging up dirt, creating chaos, and hoping it all falls apart. That's not, Ruby started. The venue confusion. That was you, wasn't it? You still had Mother's planning documents from Jasmine's wedding, including her signature. Easy enough to forge a date change. Sawyer leaned forward. Is this true? The florist quit because someone sent her emails appearing to be from Mother, threatening legal action, I continued. The guest date mix-up? All traceable to an email account created last week. You can't prove any of this, Ruby said, but her voice shook. Actually, she can. Lily spoke from the doorway, holding up her tablet. I have the digital trail, and Peter's on his way with those threatening texts you sent him. Mother sank into a chair. I had no choice. She was going to tell everyone. That you tried to ruin Jasmine's wedding? That you disowned me for refusing to help? I laughed. Go ahead, Ruby, tell everyone. I'm not afraid of the truth anymore. The payments were supposed to continue, Ruby hissed at Mother. We had a deal. Until you ran out of money, I said to Mother. That's why you've been selling your antiques. Why you needed this wedding to be perfect, to maintain the illusion of control. Sawyer stood up. I've heard enough. I'm calling Kylie. Wait, Mother pleaded. Please, I was only trying to protect the family name. By destroying it? I shook my head. The only thing you protected was your own ego. Ruby's phone buzzed. Another foreclosure notice. As she reached for it, her hand trembling, I saw something else. A flash of a familiar signature on a document partially hidden under her purse. What's that? I pointed. She tried to snatch it away, but Sawyer was faster. His eyes widened as he read. This is my father's signature on a loan document. The final piece clicked. That's why you targeted Sawyer's family specifically. You needed a new source of income. Mother's face crumpled. I never meant... Save it. I stood up. Lily, send copies of everything to my father and the Grants. Ruby, I suggest you leave town before they decide to press charges. As Ruby fled and Mother sat there crying, Sawyer turned to me. Thank you for uncovering all this. Don't thank me yet, I said, checking my phone. We still have a wedding to plan. That is, if you're still interested. He smiled, already dialing Kylie's number. More than ever, but maybe with a few less family members on the guest list. I watched Mother's shoulders shake, feeling not triumph but a strange mix of pity and relief. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about revealing the truth and letting karma do the rest. You should have seen her face, Jasmine said, helping me arrange flowers in the new venue. Ruby showed up at her house this morning begging for money. Mom shut the door in her face. I adjusted a rose, thinking about Mother's silence since yesterday's confrontation at the cafe. She hadn't come home last night, and Dad was worried sick. Remember when we were kids? Jasmine continued. How Mother used to parade us around at charity events, comparing us to each other. Jasmine got straight A's, why can't you? I mimicked. Ren won the piano competition, Jasmine. You should practice more. Always pitting us against each other. Jasmine shook her head. And we fell for it every time. The venue doors burst open. Kylie rushed in, her face flushed. Mom's in the hospital. My hands froze on the flowers. What happened? Anxiety attack. Dad found her in her car outside Ruby's house. Kylie's voice cracked. She had all these old photos of us, and letters she never sent you. Lily appeared with her tablet. The Grants are handling the Ruby situation. Apparently, she tried the same blackmail scheme with them this morning. They're pressing charges. I sat down heavily on a nearby chair. Did they know about Mother's involvement? They suspected. Lily showed me some emails. Sawyer's been investigating since last week. That's why he was meeting with Ruby yesterday, gathering evidence. Smart man, Jasmine commented. Kylie, you picked well. Kylie twisted her engagement ring. He wants to postpone the wedding. Says I need time with my family to sort things out. No, I said firmly. Mother would love that. One last bit of control. This wedding happens in 4 days, exactly as planned. But Mom, we'll have to face the consequences of her actions. I stood up, decision made. Lily, call the hospital. Tell them I'm coming to see my mother. The hospital room was quiet except for the steady beep of monitors. Mother looked small in the bed, her perfect makeup gone, her hair limp against the pillow. I wondered when you'd come, she said without opening her eyes. Why did you do it? I pulled up a chair. All of it. Jasmine's wedding, the blackmail, trying to ruin Kylie's wedding. She turned to look at me, eyes red-rimmed. I wanted the best for my girls, always the best. No, I corrected. You wanted control. There's a difference. When did you get so wise? A tear slid down her cheek. I've made such a mess of everything. Yes, you have. I took out my phone showing her the wedding plans. But Kylie's wedding is still happening. And you have a choice to make. What choice? You can check yourself out, show up and try to take control again. Or you can stay here, get help and trust that your daughters know what they're doing. She was quiet for a long moment. The Grants must hate me. They're angry, I admitted. But Sawyer loves Kylie, and right now, that's all that matters. And you? Her voice was barely a whisper. Do you hate me? I thought about the past 3 years. The pain, the struggle, the triumph of building my own life. No, but I don't trust you either. That has to be earned back. My phone buzzed. Lily sending updates about the wedding preparations. Mother watched me read them, a strange expression on her face. You're good at this, she said. Better than I ever was. Because I care about making people happy, not controlling them. I stood up. The wedding's in 4 days. If you want to attend, you'll need to apologize to everyone involved. No excuses, no manipulations, just the truth. And if I can't? Then you'll miss your daughter's wedding, your choice. As I reached the door, she called out, the letters, the ones I never sent. Kylie told me. I paused. Save them. When you're ready. Really ready. We can talk about them. Back at the venue, I found Kylie and Sawyer dancing in the empty hall, practicing their first dance. Jasmine was filming them, while Lily directed the lighting tests. "How is she?" Kylie asked as I approached. "Getting what she needed all along, help." I watched Sawyer spin her gracefully. "You two ready for this?" They looked at each other, sharing a private smile. "More than ever," Sawyer said. "Nothing like a little family drama to make you sure about your choices." "Speaking of choices," Lily interrupted, "the minister needs to know if we're keeping the traditional vows or—" A text lit up my phone. A photo from Dad. Mother, sitting up in her hospital bed, writing what looked like letters. "The vows," I said, smiling at the photo, "should be about truth, forgiveness, and new beginnings. Because sometimes that's what karma looks like. Not just consequences, but chances to make things right." The morning of the wedding dawned clear and bright. I was already at the Rosewood Gardens by 6 a.m., directing the setup when my father's car pulled in. "She's here," he said quietly as he approached. "In the bridal suite. She wants to see Kylie." I checked my watch. "Is she ready to apologize?" "She spent all night practicing." He smiled weakly. Even wrote it down. "Lily," I called to my assistant, "take over here. I need to referee a mother-daughter reunion." The bridal suite was silent when I entered. Mother sat primly on the edge of a chair, a piece of paper trembling in her hands. She'd lost weight in the hospital, but her eyes were clearer than I'd seen them in years. "Kylie's on her way," I said. "Ground rules, no guilt trips, no manipulations, no drama. This is her day." "I know." Mother smoothed her paper. "I've been practicing with my therapist." A soft knock and Kylie entered in her robe, hair in curlers. She froze when she saw Mother. "Mom, should you be out of the hospital?" "I'm here on a day pass." Mother stood, then did something I'd never seen before. She sat on the floor at Kylie's feet. "I need to tell you something." I moved to leave, but Kylie grabbed my hand. "Stay, please." Mother unfolded her paper, then crumpled it up. "No, this needs to come from my heart." She took a deep breath. "I'm sorry. I've been a terrible mother. I tried to control everything, everyone, and I nearly ruined the most important day of your life." Kylie's grip on my hand tightened. "I was wrong," Mother continued. "About everything. About Sawyer. About the wedding. About how I treated Wren." She looked up at me. "Especially about how I treated Wren." "Mom." Kylie's voice wavered. "No, let me finish. I'm getting help now. Real help. And I promise if you'll let me stay for the wedding, I'll sit quietly and just be your mother. Not your wedding planner, not your social director, just your mom." The door opened again, Jasmine peeking in. "Sorry, but we need the bride. Hair and makeup are ready and—" "Oh." Mother stood slowly. "Jasmine, I owe you an apology too." "Save it for later," I interrupted, checking the time. "We have a schedule to keep. Mother, there's a seat in the back row." "No," Kylie said firmly. "Mum, I want you in the front row, where you belong. But only if you promise no interference. This is my day, my way." "I promise," Mother's voice cracked. "Thank you." The next few hours flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Lily coordinated the vendors while I helped Kylie dress. Mother kept her word, sitting quietly, only speaking when spoken to. Then, just as we were lining up for the ceremony, a commotion erupted at the entrance. "Ruby!" Lily hissed in my ear. "She's trying to get in. I've got this." I strode to the doors where security was already blocking Ruby's path. "You can't keep me out," Ruby was shouting. "I have information." "About what?" I asked coldly. "The blackmail scheme you're being charged for, or the forged documents the Grant's lawyers found?" "Meredith," she pleaded, spotting Mother approaching behind me. Tell them about our deal." Mother stepped forward, and for a moment I tensed, ready for another disaster. But she surprised me. "The only deal," Mother said clearly, "is the one you'll make with the prosecutors. Go home, Ruby. It's over." As security escorted Ruby away, I heard the opening notes of the wedding march. "Ready?" I asked Mother. She straightened her shoulders. "To sit quietly and watch my daughter be happy? Yes, I think I finally am." The ceremony was perfect. Kylie glowed as she walked down the aisle on Dad's arm. Sawyer's face lit up when he saw her. Their vows were personal and touching, without a hint of family drama. And Mother? She sat in the front row, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief, not trying to control a single thing. At the reception, I was checking the dinner service when Sawyer's father approached. "Quite a transformation," he said, nodding toward Mother, who was quietly watching Kylie and Sawyer's first dance. "Your mother's apology this morning seemed genuine." It was. I adjusted a centerpiece. Sometimes people surprise you. Speaking of surprises, he handed me a business card. "We're expanding our event planning division. Could use someone with your skills." I smiled, pocketing the card. "Thank you, but I'm happy where I am. Besides," I glanced at Mother again, "I think my family might need me around for a while." The music changed, and I watched as Sawyer led Kylie to where Mother sat. They exchanged words I couldn't hear. Then Kylie hugged her, real and genuine. Lily appeared at my elbow. "Everything's perfect. You can relax now." "Not quite yet." I picked up my champagne glass. "But for the first time in years, I think we're getting there." The reception was in full swing when Lily grabbed my arm. "We have a problem. There's a reporter from the society pages asking questions about Ruby." I set down my champagne. "Where?" "By the gift table. Apparently Ruby called them with a shocking exposé about the Dawson Grant wedding." Before I could move, Mother appeared beside us. "I'll handle this." "Mom, no. Trust me, just this once." I followed her to where a young reporter was scribbling in a notebook. Mother straightened her spine, channeling every ounce of her social authority. "I understand you're writing a story," she said smoothly. "Let me give you a better one." The reporter looked up. "Mrs. Dawson." Ruby said, "Ruby Grant is currently under investigation for blackmail and fraud." Mother's voice was clear and steady. "But here's your headline. Society maven admits past mistakes, celebrates daughter's joy. I'll give you an exclusive interview." My jaw dropped. The reporter's eyes widened. "Mom," I whispered. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "It's time for the truth." Turning back to the reporter, she continued. 3 years ago, I tried to sabotage another wedding. I let pride and control destroy my relationship with my eldest daughter. I paid someone to keep quiet about it, and now I'm facing the consequences and making amends." The reporter's pen flew across the page. "That's quite a story." "It's also a story about redemption," I added, placing a hand on Mother's arm. "About choosing family over pride." A commotion near the entrance caught our attention. Ruby had returned, this time with a police escort. "Mrs. Grant," one officer said loudly, "you're in violation of the restraining order." The music screeched to a halt. Guests turned to stare. Kylie and Sawyer hurried over, but before anyone could speak, Mother stepped forward. "Ruby," she said clearly, "enough. We both know what we did was wrong. I'm facing my mistakes. It's time you faced yours." Ruby's face contorted. "You promised me. You said if I helped you control your daughters." "I was wrong." Mother's voice cracked. "So wrong, and I'm sorry, but this ends now." As the officers led Ruby away, she shouted, "You'll regret this, Meredith. I'll tell everyone." "I already did," Mother called after her. She turned to the reporter. "Make sure you get that part right. I told the truth before she could use it against me." Sawyer's father stepped forward, clapping slowly. "Well done, Meredith. Better late than never." The music resumed. Guests returned to dancing. The reporter hurried off to file her story. And Mother started crying. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, looking at me, "for everything. For trying to control you, for not supporting you, for—" I pulled her into a hug, surprising us both. "I know, Mom. I know." Kylie joined our hug, then Dad, then Jasmine. Even Sawyer wrapped his long arms around our family group. "Well," Lily said, wiping her eyes, "this is definitely going in my best weddings ever list." The rest of the reception passed in a blur of dancing, toasts, and genuine laughter. During the father-daughter dance, I watched Dad twirl Kylie while Mother sat beside me. You did an amazing job, she said softly. With the wedding. With everything. Thanks, Mom. I found your old business plan the other day. The one you showed me when you first wanted to be a wedding planner. I dismissed it completely. I remembered that day, her cutting words, her dismissal of my dreams. You did. I was wrong. You've built something beautiful. She hesitated. Those letters I wrote, would you like to read them? Maybe. Not today, though. Today is for Kylie. Mother smiled. A real smile, not her society mask. You're a better person than I ever was. No, I corrected her. I just learned from your mistakes. And my own. The music changed to a popular dance song. Kylie ran over, grabbing both our hands. Come on, everyone on the dance floor. And there we were, Mother and I dancing with Kylie, laughing as Dad tried to do the Macarena, watching Sawyer spin Jasmine while his parents cheered. Lily appeared with her tablet. The Society pages just posted their article. Want to see? The headline read, Love Conquers All, a story of truth, redemption, and the wedding of the year. Perfect, I said, watching Mother dance with Kylie. Absolutely perfect. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even or proving you're right. Sometimes it's about being there when someone finally admits they were wrong and helping them find their way back to what really matters. Family, truth, love, and maybe, just maybe, a perfectly planned wedding. The morning after the wedding, I found Mother sitting in her garden reading the Society pages article on her tablet. The roses she'd always obsessed over were untended, wild and beautiful in their natural state. Coffee? I offered her a cup. Thank you. She set the tablet down. The article's gone viral. Ruby's been calling all morning. Let her. I settled into the adjacent chair. The truth was going to come out eventually. Your father's helping me pack for the rehabilitation centre. She traced the rim of her cup. 30 days of intensive therapy. I'll miss Kylie's honeymoon return. But you'll be here for everything else that comes after. A comfortable silence fell between us. The garden's morning shadows shifted as the sun rose higher, and somewhere a bird started singing. I found this while packing, Mother said, pulling an envelope from her pocket. Your first business card, the one you showed me when you announced you were becoming a wedding planner. I remembered designing it at Lily's kitchen table, full of hope and determination. Mother had torn it up in front of me. I kept one, she admitted, hidden in my jewellery box. Even when I was at my worst, trying to control everything, I kept it. The sound of car doors slamming interrupted us. Kylie and Sawyer emerged from their car, still in their travel clothes. You haven't left for your honeymoon yet? Mother asked as they approached. Changed our plans, Kylie said, settling onto the garden bench. We're postponing the Maldives trip. Why? I asked. Sawyer grinned. Because we've got a better idea. Mum, how would you like some visitors at the rehabilitation centre? Mother's hand trembled, spilling coffee. What? We checked with the centre, Kylie explained. They have family therapy sessions. We thought, maybe we could all use some healing. Together. All, Mother whispered. All, I confirmed, surprising myself. If you're willing to do the work, we're willing to be there. Tears spilled down Mother's cheeks. After everything I did, family is complicated, Sawyer said. My parents taught me that, but it's worth fighting for. The garden gate creaked, and Jasmine walked in with Peter and Lily. Hope we're not too early, Jasmine called. We brought breakfast. And paperwork, Lily added, waving a folder. Ruby's lawyer called. She's agreeing to a full confession in exchange for leniency. Mother straightened. Good. It's time we both faced consequences. Speaking of consequences, I pulled out my own envelope. I have something to show you, Mom. Inside was a business proposal. Plans for expanding my wedding planning business to include family counselling services for couples and their families. The grants are still interested in investing, I explained. But I'd like to offer you first refusal. Not for the money, but for the chance to help other families avoid our mistakes. A partnership, Mother's voice wavered. Eventually. After rehabilitation. After we've all done some healing. I met her eyes. What do you say? She looked around the garden, at Kylie and Sawyer holding hands, at Jasmine setting out breakfast with Peter, at Lily organising papers, at me offering a chance for redemption. I say, she took a deep breath, I say I'd like to earn that opportunity. Dad appeared in the doorway. Car's packed, Meredith. Ready. Mother stood, smoothing her skirt. Will you all be here when I get back? We'll do you one better, Kylie said. We'll be there with you. Every step. As Dad helped Mother to the car, I felt Lily nudge me. Happy ending? I watched Mother pause at the car, looking back at her garden, at all of us gathered there, choosing to stay, choosing to heal. Not an ending, I corrected. A beginning. Mother waved once, then got in the car. As they drove away, Kylie linked her arm through mine. You know what this means? She asked. More weddings to plan, more families to help. More chances to get it right, Jasmine added. I looked at my family. The ones born to me and the ones I'd chosen, all gathered in the garden where I'd once felt so alone. Well then, I said, picking up Mother's abandoned tablet with its viral story of truth and redemption, we better get to work. Because sometimes the best stories don't end with revenge or perfect resolution. Sometimes they end with people choosing to try again, to do better, to heal together. And sometimes, just sometimes, they end in a garden, with breakfast and family and the promise of tomorrow. Pass the coffee, I said, pulling out my planner. We've got some planning to do.